that better?
Yeah, it's better. How are you, James? You are in London right
Yeah, it was the weather. The weather got good yesterday, so everyone went out and drank beer. It's been a a bit of a strange time the last year, obviously. But it's been good for me because there's been plenty of time to paint. Yeah, well, I live here as well, so it's pretty easy for me.
So you lived in Istanbul for a while.
I think like 6 months or something I lived there, and I love it. It's a great city. Um, Beautiful city and really interesting history, incredible architecture, really interesting people. Um, I had a lot of fun there. I think I'll definitely come to Istanbul again for sure. Yeah, I'd like to come back anytime, to be honest. But I think I'm at the moment I'm trying to move to Mexico. My next adventure. Plenty of inspiration, uh, and learning a new language and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's good for you. So you were born in Oxford, then you went to New Zealand. How was the new adaptation process after the Oxford?
To be honest, there wasn't too much adaptation because I was just a baby. So I was like 2 or 3. So the memories of moving to New Zealand are quite vague. But so I really just consider myself. I really consider myself to be from New Zealand. Like I don't feel British. I have a British passport, but obviously I don't have a British accent, and people here in the UK can clearly identify me as being from New Zealand as soon as I talk. So yeah, and I lived there, New Zealand and Australia, so I'm very much from that part of the world. I'm not really a British person at all.
You won your first prize in New Zealand, right? Photography series.
Yeah, so my background was in photography, and at that stage I was just traveling around New Zealand. I was like living in a house bus, like a like a house bus in a field, and I wasn't painting or drawing at all at that stage. I never even thought about painting or drawing at all. I was more into like literature and photography. I think in photography, for me, it was all about trying to find things that I thought were beautiful in nature, and then like relay them to people, to show people, other people. For instance, if someone said, "I think that's beautiful," or "That's really pretty," or whatever, they would say, I would agree with them. Like I wouldn't really think that's like my photograph. We'll get there.
Really loved your Lost Sentiment and La Lumière photo series in your website. In Paris, I think 2016 or 17.
Oh yeah, all the black and white series. That was all yeah, that was all about again, that was all about sort of what I consider to be like poetic moments, like sensitive poetic moments. So Paris obviously is a city that's full of beautiful architecture and cemeteries and boulevards, and like it's a beautiful place. And so I didn't want to approach it from the obvious point of view of trying to just document the obvious stuff about Paris, so I was looking for more sort of nuanced or fleeting moments. Photography is, I don't know if you caught this, but I think photography is very like revealing of people's personality.
Yeah.
So what the things that they notice and the things that they see and the things that they photograph is very reflective of what they see and what they notice. So when I look at other people's photographs, I always think this, for me, really strong photography is mostly about storytelling, or there's something quite like poetic about an image. It's almost like a poem in itself. Like you could write the photograph as a poem and it would still translate. And that's what I like about other people's photography as well. But yeah, I haven't you caught me off guard talking about photography because I haven't done a lot lately, but it's nice to reflect on, so I'm happy to do that. Yeah,
That's great. So as an artist, what attracts you when you create a photo series? It's light or structure or harmony of the city?
If you're talking if it's a series of works, I think it's going to be I'm looking for like a shared feeling or emotion between the photographs, you know. So I'm looking for like that almost like indescribable again like poetry in an image that you can't really, it's hard to describe, but there's something in it that makes you feel something. So with my photography, when I used to go out for walks, I don't know how many, like, as a photographer or as someone who takes a lot of images, you get to the point where you're seeing the same type of images a lot, and so after a while you no longer have to take that photo because you've seen it before and you've taken it before, you know. So for me, I try to challenge myself and not take the obvious photograph, and well, and only focus on things that might be missed, you know. So it was about sort of trying to reveal what I thought was sublime or beautiful in moments that people might not see, you know, so, or take for granted, you know. So so yeah, it was about trying to sort of, in a way, it makes my work, I think, a little bit less accessible and a bit more esoteric, because I'm really trying to, in a way, I'm just trying to satisfy myself, to find things that, you know, to find the slightly more nuanced or obscure elements of a city or whatever element, you know, like the difference between photographing like a nice pocket of light that's only going to shine there once, maybe ever, you know, because of the way the clouds are and the way the sun is at that time of year and the way the tree is and the shadow is at that one moment, and there's something magical about that one specific moment, you know, that will never be recreated, versus going to take a photo of the Eiffel Tower or the Louvre or something, you know. Or for me they're very different ideas, and I guess that's the magic of photography for me, is trying to find those moments that can't be replicated. So, you know, so that image is unique in that way, and that's my intention. So if I'm successful, then if people feel that or see that in the images, then I guess that's a success for me. But if not, then that's fine as well. You know, I can't force people to appreciate the work that you do. You know.
You have a film called Meta, I think. Yeah, that collaboration with
Yeah.
Tina Stefano.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That was the one. Yeah, well, that was more Tina stuff. So that was Tina is a brilliant artist,
Yeah.
and a close friend of mine, and she was studying. It was I was already living in Paris, and she got a scholarship to study at the Paris School of Art, and so she just happened to move to Paris, so it was great. And she just had an idea for a project. Like, she basically said, I have a project and I want to use this you know, reflective blanket, you know, like one of those, it's like one of those thermal blankets, you know, but they're very photogenic, you know. And the funny thing about that film is that if you watch it, it looks very serious, you know, and it's all about sort of social isolation and mental health and the way that we can feel isolated within a group of people, you know. When we were shooting it, we were having so much fun and we were laughing, and and Tina's performance in that's brilliant, because she was very unafraid to be weird and bizarre and make a scene in public, you know. So when, you know, the scenes where she's on the metro covered in thing and she's dancing, or it's very performative actually. And I to be honest, I mean, all I really did in that one is walk around my tripod and point my camera at Tina being really brilliant. So I can't take, and she edited it, so I can't take too much credit for it. But yeah, I guess I shot it. So yeah, it was really fun. Anyway, it was nice. Yeah, I'm really like that film. Yeah. Optimistic, less cynical mind might think that hopefully we'll appreciate being together and being connected, and we can really take advantage of the fact that we can collaborate and work together again, you know, and really appreciate our lives. I'd like to think that that was what will happen. I'm not sure if that's what will happen. I think the pandemic has really I don't want to be too harsh, but I think it's like highlighted the fact that some people didn't have the thing in their life that gave their life meaning outside of work, you know. So I think artists are lucky in that way, because not just artists, but anyone who has a passion, you know, are lucky in the way that our life generates its own meaning, you know, through our work. But if you, so I think maybe it was a good opportunity for people to actually look inside themselves and actually ask themselves like who they are and what they really want. And it gave people also the time to maybe, you know, study a new language, or do the drawing or the painting that they always said they would do if they had more time, you know. So in that way, it was kind of like a good opportunity and a challenge for people to actually rise to the occasion and do what they said they always wanted to do, you know. So I think in some way maybe it was like, for me it's been beneficial because I've had so much time to paint. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of artists could relate to this. I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm antisocial, but I'm happy in my own company. And and to make art and to paint, for instance, you really need time alone, you know. You need time by yourself to do the work, you know. So there was just such a wealth of time that I could just paint every day for almost a year. So, you know, I almost feel guilty for enjoying myself so much, but I actually quite enjoyed the time to paint. Friends, and I miss going out and doing that other kind of stuff as well. And it's all that kind of stuff can also provide motivation and energy for making the work as well, you know. So yeah, that was that's my take on it. And I just hope that that we take advantage of being able to reconnect and we can also appreciate it a bit more, you know. Yeah, I'd like to think that's what will happen.
A really optimistic view.
Yeah, it's not as enriching, or it's not as encouraging for people. So let's keep it positive, you know.
So you have a background in art writing, and you run an account, the Arts Network. Can you tell us a little bit about?
So my background was in so before I was a painter or someone who painted, I got an opportunity to basically start my own arts magazine.
Yeah.
In Melbourne. I was very, very lucky. Some close friends of mine basically gave me a place to live, and they paid me to basically build this thing from scratch. And it kind of just started just me, and then there was another person, and then there was another person, and then all of a sudden I had like loads of writers, and I was getting to interview some of like my favorite painters, you know, because I was still, even though I wasn't a painter, I still really admired painting and painters. I think because as a photographer, I admired like the physicality and the expressionistic element of what they do. And so basically loads of my friends became like a lot of the people who I interviewed became my friends. And because they were great artists, I ended up with some really close friends who were painters, and that's how my interest in painting began. I had some close friends of mine who were very encouraging, and basically just like opened the door for me, and you let me paint. They'd paint with me, that let me paint their studios. You know, give me the resources. You know, very generous, and that's what encouraged me to begin. And it's been that was what started the journey, you know. Yeah, but I think with more contemporary stuff in terms of what I'm doing now, like I'm still really interested in dialogue, and I'm still working out how I want to do it. I did start that Instagram account, but the thing I found, it was dragging me back to Instagram. It was making me engage with Instagram more than I kind of wanted to, and I think moving forward, I'm probably move more into this kind of thing where I just talk to people, and because then I'm not having to spend so much time doing the writing or processing or web stuff. It's more just I can have a conversation, I can record it, I can share it, and then, because at the end of the day, that's the most compelling thing, you know, like what someone has to say about their work in a really direct and like runnable way. And I think these kinds of dialogues are the fastest, the most immediate way to do it, you know. And also people now are more interested in, they're more likely to watch a video than they are to read an article, you know. So yeah, but I definitely want to keep, like I miss that journalistic part of myself, you know. And so I love the art of conversation, you know. I love talking with people, you know. So and I think especially now in 2021, it's clear that there's an appetite for it, you know, because podcasting and stuff has become so popular. So yeah, we're in an interesting age, you know. Now we can ring up and talk to anyone we want anywhere in the world and have a conversation with someone we've never met, and that's a very compelling thing that humanity hasn't had the access to for, you know, the vast majority of its history. So it's something we should take advantage of. Is that a huge poster behind you?
Oh, yes.
It's great. Is it a photograph? It's amazing.
It's a photograph.
It's incredible. When I moved to Mexico, we do a lot of snorkeling and diving and stuff. And one of the things I want to do, and even in the work now that I've been making, a lot of natural forms. I mean, you could probably even see it behind me on this one. It's like these natural forms, these fingery forms that come into my work at the moment. That's all from just one piece of coral that I saw floating in the ocean, and so yeah, that thing in the background's reminding me. And hopefully when I get back to Mexico, I really want to start pulling my motifs and my abstract forms from nature more and more. So yes, but that's an incredible image behind you. I thought maybe it might have been one of those like digital things, you know, but it's great. Yeah, it's huge as well. It looks massive.
Yeah, it's like,
hey, I love it. It's so vibrant. What a crazy cool image. Yeah. And you've also got the turtle and the shell behind you. So
yeah, for you.
Yeah,
It's
a very
stuff. Yeah,
good oceanic theme. I like it. Oh, that's a canvas. Is that a painting?
It's canvas.
Oh, wow.
It's like a print, not a canvas
cool.
painting, but yeah.
I dig it.
So it's a digital age, as you know, and as an artist, you want to create a digital artworks.
Digital art doesn't really excite me that much, and I mean, it does. Maybe it's more interesting to talk about like the reason I love painting, and I think the reason why other people still love painting as well is because it's something physical, and it's an object, and it can't be reproduced, and there's something unique and valuable about that one object, and I think painting will always continue to maintain its value in that way, because people who don't paint will always continue to revere and appreciate people who do, and there's something like, there's a risk in painting. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's the physicality and it's the risk. Like at any time in a painting, you can ruin it. You can do something that completely changes it. So there's a fragility to the image, you know, and the painter has had to deal with that fragility the whole time they're creating it, and everything on an image is there at the behest of the painter. The painter's left everything there for a reason, and then they stop and they go, this image is complete, and you know, they move on. And I think for me, that's what's magical about painting. And for me, when I see digital art, I mean, we should also we should sort of define it. Like for me, like I love like digital, like CGI and films and stuff. Like that's wild, you know, that's super cool. Like I think that stuff's really, really cool, you know. And but when I think of digital art, like if someone presents me like a digital painting or something, I just can't, there's nothing in me that can get really that excited about it, because it doesn't have any of the intrinsic elements of what I find exciting about painting, which is the risk taking and the investment in time, and also like the inability to just undo. And like a painting has a commitment to a mark. Once you make a mark, that mark becomes part of the image. Obviously you can paint over that mark, but that will, in that process of creation and deletion, you create a history on a surface that you can't just extract, whereas in a digital image you can say, no, I don't like that line, I don't like that line, and just you can have a million goes at getting it right. And so for me, that undermines the value of the image a little bit. Yeah, so like digital painting and stuff, for me, I can't really get that excited about it. Yeah, but there's a reason. I mean, there's a reason why people still paint, and and also, but maybe also it's more selfish, because it's more like the process of painting that I value, So just the process of getting up in the morning and having a thing in front of me and working onto a surface is so much more compelling and so much more enjoyable than getting onto my computer, and sitting down all day and playing with pixels, So yeah, I mean, it's a big discussion, but for me, it's the physicality of painting, which is the most appealing element, and so digital painting it can never replace it, Yeah.
I prefer to tangible things.
Love objects, we want objects in our houses. We like nice crafted things. We like nice leather satchels, and we like good quality clothing, and we like jewelry. We digital stuff doesn't have any of that like the magic about it. And that's kind of why I went away from photography to an extent, because for me it didn't have the same magic about it. Yeah, but that's my take on it. It's not to say that people like there's some cool stuff that people can do. There's some cool digital illustration, and it's a whole nother thing, and it's but it's not really. I don't think it's as exciting. Yeah.
Do you think that artists need art galleries to sell their artworks?
No, I don't think so. I mean, in the past, the majority of the work I've sold has not been through galleries, and I'd say that's probably true of most emerging artists, unless they do get gallery representation. I think it's fine. It just depends what part of your career you're in. So if you're an artist who's selling their works for thousands and thousands of dollars, and the art galleries are giving you access to the buyers, the wealthy buyers who are spending $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on paintings, then of course that makes sense, because the painters are making loads of money, and everyone's making money, so everyone wins. But I don't think it's like a painter should necessarily consider themselves a lesser artist or a lesser painter because they don't have gallery representation, or because a lot of the time painters who are popular or whatever, again, I don't want to be too like, these are all big ideas and big discussions, so they're not something that you can necessarily cover in like the detail required to sort of get into the nuance of it. Sorry, my phone's trying to talk to me. Yeah, a lot of the times painters who are really popular and selling a lot of work through galleries and stuff, they just find that one style, and people like it, and then they reproduce it over and over again, and people keep buying it because people associate that style with that painter, and that has a certain value, and then that painter will just continue to make that kind of image for the rest of their life. That's not the kind of painting that I'm excited about, and that's not the kind of painting that I'm that interested in. So because for me, painting is like the most exciting thing about painting is that it's exploration, so yeah, but it's yeah, the gallery thing's fine. I yeah, I think it just depends what stage of your career you're in, I think at the start it's fine, and then if that's the avenue you want to go through, then more power to you. Yeah. No, I don't think artists need to have a gallery to sell works. Yeah. Not with Instagram. Yeah.
I realized you look like Matthew Chedid. You know that French singer?
What's his name?
Matthew Chedid. Old M. Yeah. Like
I do like him. I can't. What?
You look like him.
I look like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never had that one before, but I've through my whole life I've been accused of looking like certain people. I think it's just like when I was living in Istanbul, people thought I was Turkish because I had more of a beard. I think I'm Mexican. Anywhere, or Italian, or Spanish. Most people think I'm Spanish. Yeah. Anywhere that's like dark features, I'm just I don't look like I'm from Scandinavia or Asia or something. But I think it's fine. It's good. It's good. Like I liked it in Istanbul because I felt like such a outsider, and I loved that feeling of being like in this place where I was like, it was so exciting to me, because Istanbul's, if you've never been to Istanbul and you come from a place like London, like it's so different, like it feels way more like wild, like there's like dogs and cats everywhere. There's like crazy people on the street. There's like there's a lot of sort of like sad sort of socio-economic kind of elements of it as well, so you get like the refugees and the homeless people. Obviously that's not something to joke about or whatever, but it's like it all adds to the sort of really like exotic foreign feeling, but so I was amongst that, feeling that. But when I stood at a restaurant and people would come and talk to me in Turkish, so I didn't get treated like a outsider, but I got to experience it like that. So I quite enjoyed that, actually. Yeah.
Maybe next year we want to host you in Istanbul. Ayasofya Church.
And if you've got like, I would be, if you've got any opportunities to do any like a show in Istanbul, I'd be the first person there. I love Istanbul. Yeah, I tell people all the time that they have to go. I went to like all the mosques, all the churches. I like watched all the documentaries about the Ottoman Empire and the late Roman Empire and Constantinople, and I was right. For me, I think it's like Rome and Istanbul and Alexandria, and Egypt are like Egyptian culture are the three most interesting like historical cities, and I think Rome's the obvious one because Roman Empire, but a lot of people don't really understand the way that the Roman Empire migrated to the east and set up Constantinople, and then were invaded, by the Ottomans, and then it's a fascinating history. So yeah, if you've got any opportunities, I'll be there.
Thank you, James, for your time today. It's so great to see you.
No worries, it was fun. Well, let's keep in contact. It'd be nice to keep in contact, and you never know what the future will hold,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just got to keep working, and then things happen. Well, thanks again, and yeah, hopefully we'll chat another time and keep in contact.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for your time. See you later.
No problem. See ya. Bye. So maybe we can just like chat quickly, like non-interview chat.
Yeah, of course.